Admiral John Carter stood at the viewport of Earth Defense Force headquarters, his weathered face reflecting in the reinforced glass as he stared at the night sky. The stars looked different tonight. Some of them weren't stars at all. "Sir, we've confirmed it. 53 vessels of unknown configuration in high Earth orbit," Lieutenant Lisa Morgan reported, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "Nothing like we've ever seen before." Carter nodded grimly. Humanity had speculated about this moment for centuries, but now that it arrived, he felt only unease. "What are they doing up there, Lieutenant?" "Nothing aggressive so far. They're maintaining position." Lisa handed him a tablet displaying energy readings. "But these power signatures are off the charts. Their technology is, well, it makes ours look primitive." The first ships had appeared just hours ago in 2057, silently emerging from what scientists were calling fold space, apparently tearing holes in reality itself to travel between stars. Within minutes, the news had spread worldwide, causing equal measures of panic and wonder. In Washington, D.C., President Garcia had immediately called an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. Similar meetings were happening in decentralized capitals across the globe. For once, Earth's nations were united by a common concern. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer called out. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, in perfect English." Carter frowned. "Put it through." A holographic display activated, showing a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and elongated features. Its eyes were entirely black, and it wore an ornate uniform adorned with symbols of authority. "People of Earth," the being spoke, its voice resonant and cultured. "I am Lord Zelthos, emissary of the Galactic Empire. We have observed your civilization for some time and have deemed you worthy of contact. We come with peaceful intentions and request a meeting with your planetary leaders." Carter studied the alien's face. Something in those black eyes didn't match the diplomatic words. 25 years in the military had taught him to recognize when someone wasn't showing their full hand. "Sir?" Lisa whispered, pointing to her tablet. During that transmission, 3 of their smaller vessels changed orbit. They're positioning themselves over major defense installations. "Peaceful intentions, my ass," Carter muttered. The next day, representatives from every major nation gathered at UN headquarters in New York. Security was unprecedented, not that conventional weapons would do much good if the visitors decided to attack. Lord Zelthos arrived in a shuttle that defied gravity with casual ease. Landing gently in the plaza outside, he emerged with 4 guards whose ceremonial armor couldn't hide the weapons integrated into their forearms. Inside the General Assembly, Zelthos addressed Earth's leaders with practiced charm. "My empire spans 10,000 worlds across this galactic arm. We bring order, technology, and protection to all who join our collective." "And what exactly are you proposing?" President Garcia asked directly. "A cultural exchange to start. Then trade, technological sharing, and eventually, your full integration into the greatest civilization in known space." Zelthos smiled, revealing teeth too perfect to be natural. "You have much to gain." In the observation gallery, Carter exchanged glances with General Frank Reynolds. Both men recognized the language of conquest dressed as generosity. As the meeting continued, Lisa Morgan quietly entered, passing Carter a note. "Scans detect active targeting systems on all vessels. They're mapping every military asset we have." Back at headquarters that evening, Carter's team reviewed everything they'd learned about the visitors. "They're not here to make friends," Carter concluded. "No one travels across stars just to say hello. They want something from us." Lisa nodded in agreement. "The question is what? And how far are they willing to go to get it?" Carter added, watching the alien ships glittering against the night sky like predators circling their prey. Humanity had just met its first extraterrestrial civilization, and Admiral John Carter couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was about to face its greatest challenge. 2 weeks after first contact, Captain William Frost crept through the dimly lit corridor of the alien command ship. Getting aboard had been nearly impossible, but as Earth's top covert operative, he specialized in impossible tasks. The Empire had extended an invitation to select humans to tour their vessels. Frost had replaced one of the scientific delegates, using advanced disguise technology. Now he moved silently through restricted areas, placing tiny surveillance devices as he went. In a secured data room, Frost connected a specialized device to an Imperial terminal. Files began transferring immediately. The alien language had been partially decoded by Earth's best linguists, enough for him to search for specific terms. His eyes widened as images appeared on screen. Planets being bombarded, populations relocated. To labor camps, resources stripped bare. The Empire's history was one of subjugation, not partnership. Meanwhile, at United Nations headquarters, Lord Zelthos addressed Earth's leadership with growing impatience. "Your continued deliberation is unnecessary," the Imperial representative stated. "The benefits of joining our empire are self-evident. 300 civilizations thrive under our protection." President Maria Garcia leaned forward. "We appreciate your offer, Lord Zelthos, but Earth nations have spent centuries establishing our independence. We prefer mutual cooperation rather than becoming a protectorate." Zelthos's expression hardened. "I believe there has been a misunderstanding. This is not an invitation open to negotiation. Earth will join the Empire. The only choice is whether you do so peacefully, with privileges, intact or through other means." A murmur spread through the assembly. The alien's tone had changed completely. "Are you threatening us?" Garcia asked directly. "I am clarifying realities," Zelthos replied. "The Empire requires Earth's strategic position and unique resources. Your species shows promising genetic adaptability that could benefit our military programs. In return, you receive technological advancement and protection." Garcia stood up. "Earth is not available for acquisition, Lord Zelthos. We will consider fair trade agreements, but we will not surrender our sovereignty." Zelthos appeared genuinely shocked. "No species has refused Imperial integration in 800 years. Then we're honored to be the first," Garcia replied, firmly. At Earth Defense Force headquarters, Commander Daniel Hayes directed satellite imagery to Admiral Carter's screen. "They appeared overnight, sir. Imperial surveillance platforms in orbit covering every continent." Carter studied the images. "They didn't even try to hide them." "No, sir. I believe it's meant as intimidation." Hayes pointed to energy readings. "They're scanning our military bases, power grids, communication networks, mapping everything." Carter nodded grimly. "Have they detected our own surveillance measures?" "No indication yet. Dr. Wells's team designed them to mimic space debris. But there's more." Hayes pulled up another screen. "We've intercepted communications between their fleet and several points within our major cities. They already have operatives on the ground." At that moment, Captain Frost was being extracted from his mission, the stolen data secure. Under a false identity, he boarded a regular commercial flight to maintain cover. As his plane crossed the Atlantic, he reviewed the intelligence. The Empire's pattern was consistent across dozens of worlds. Infiltrate, isolate leadership, demonstrate overwhelming force against minor targets, then offer protection that was actually occupation. Frost sent an encrypted message to Admiral Schwarzenegger. "Confirm hostile intent. Pattern matches previous conquests. Time frame approximately 30 days from first contact to military action." Carter received the message during an emergency meeting with military leaders from around the world. For the first time in history, Earth's armed forces were coordinating a unified defense strategy. "Their technology outmatches ours," a Russian general observed. "But they don't know what we're capable of," Carter replied. "And they're making a crucial mistake." "What's that?" asked the Chinese admiral. "They think we're divided," Carter said. "They expect to conquer us nation by nation. They don't understand that an external threat is the one thing that could unite humanity overnight." Around the table, heads nodded in agreement. Earth was preparing for war, quietly, strategically, and with complete determination. Dr. Samantha Wells worked with intense focus in the underground laboratory. Around her, 20 scientists from different countries examined pieces of Imperial technology obtained through various means. Some components came from gifts the Empire had presented. Others were salvaged from small probes that had mysteriously malfunctioned near Earth. The power source operates on principles we theorized but couldn't implement, Samantha explained to the team. But now that we have working models, we can replicate them. Their mistake was assuming we couldn't understand their technology. In another section of the facility, engineer Karen Hudson dismantled what appeared to be an Imperial communication device. They encrypt their transmissions, but the pattern is recognizable, Karen said to her colleagues. Given enough time, we can intercept and decode their communications. The Empire believed humans were primitive. Their technology was indeed centuries ahead of Earth's, but they underestimated human adaptability and determination. While Imperial representatives attended diplomatic functions, humanity prepared in secret. Major Richard Boyd's voice echoed across the training facility hidden deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Again, he commanded, watching as soldiers from a dozen nations practiced in zero-gravity chambers. The Imperials have been spacefaring for millennia, Boyd explained. They're comfortable in zero-G combat. We need to match that comfort level. The soldiers pushed off walls, firing specialized weapons designed to work in vacuum. They had been training non-stop for weeks, adapting terrestrial combat techniques for space. Their armor has weak points here and here, Boyd indicated on a holographic model. And remember, they evolved on a high-gravity world. In zero-G, our relative strength and speed might actually be superior. Meanwhile, at a secure facility in Geneva, Admiral Carter met with an unexpected ally. The alien called itself Rek, a member of the Lysari species that had been conquered by the Empire centuries ago. Its translucent skin revealed a complex circulatory system beneath. The Empire controls through division, Rek explained in halting English. They set subjugated species against each other, but many of us have maintained hidden resistance networks. How many other species might join us if we stand against them? Carter asked. Many wait for someone to lead, Rek replied. Humans are unique. You advance quickly. You adapt. Most importantly, you united when threatened. Other species could not. Across Earth, preparations continued. In Australia, massive underground shelters were constructed. In Brazil, food production was increased and stockpiled. In Africa, old mineral mines were converted to manufacturing centers for new weapons. The internet proved particularly valuable. Unlike centralized planetary networks the Empire had encountered before, Earth's decentralized communications could not be easily controlled or monitored. President Garcia maintained diplomatic channels with the Empire, playing for time. Each day allowed Earth to learn more, prepare more. Your species continues to surprise us, Lord Zelthos commented during one meeting. Most civilizations eagerly embrace Imperial technology. Humans value self-determination, Garcia replied carefully. We have a long history of resisting outside control. Zelthos smiled with artificial politeness. History teaches that resistance is ultimately futile. The Empire always prevails. What the Imperial representative didn't know was that Earth had already established contact with resistance groups on 12 different worlds. The supposedly loyal Imperial translator at these meetings was secretly part of Rek's network, passing information to humans. In orbit, Imperial ships maintained their intimidating presence. Their commanders reported to Imperial Central that Earth would soon submit, like all others before them. Deep in the Nevada desert, the first human-built spaceship incorporating reverse-engineered Imperial technology prepared for its test flight. Built in sections around the world and assembled in secret, it represented humanity's rapid advancement. They think we're still using chemical rockets, Captain Susan Allen said, running her hand along the ship's hull. This prototype isn't pretty, but it works, and they'll never see it coming. Humans' time advantage was narrowing. Imperial patience was wearing thin. The question wasn't if conflict would come, but when, and whether Earth would be ready. The morning sky over New Madrid, Missouri lit up with blinding flashes as Imperial energy weapons struck the city. Buildings crumbled and fires spread while emergency sirens wailed across the region. The attack came without warning after weeks of tense negotiations. This is merely a demonstration, Lord Zelthos announced through emergency broadcast systems worldwide. A small taste of Imperial power. No further harm need come to your people if Earth submits immediately. The Empire had chosen New Madrid, carefully, a mid-sized city, important enough to showcase their power but not so vital that its destruction would cripple human resistance. What they hadn't accounted for was the speed of Earth's response. Within minutes of the first strike, hidden defense systems activated. Lieutenant Peter Martinez commanded the first active human counterattack from a concealed bunker outside the city. All units engage according to Protocol Delta, Martinez ordered calmly. Remember your training. These aren't drills anymore. Disguised as weather monitoring stations, advanced defense turrets emerged from hidden installations. Using reverse-engineered, Imperial technology, they fired precision beams at the attacking vessels. The Imperial commander watched in disbelief as warning lights flashed across his control panel. Impossible! They shouldn't have this capability. 2 Imperial fighters crashed in flames while a larger vessel limped away, its propulsion system damaged. The remaining attackers withdrew hastily, confused by the unexpected resistance. At the Pentagon, military leaders watched the battle unfold through satellite imagery. We bloodied their nose, Admiral Carter observed. But this is just the beginning. Meanwhile, Officer Olivia Johnson worked frantically in a research facility beneath Lake Michigan. For weeks, she had analyzed Imperial technology for weaknesses. Now, as the first battle unfolded, she made a critical discovery. "It's their fuel," she exclaimed to her team. "Every piece of their technology relies on a substance they call novidium, and they can't synthesize it artificially. They mine it from specific stellar bodies." She displayed a chemical analysis on the main screen. "Their entire empire depends on controlling the supply of this single resource. Cut that off, and their war machine stops," her colleague finished. The Imperial attack on New Madrid had revealed more than Zelthos intended. Earth's hidden sensors gathered crucial data on Imperial weapon systems, shield frequencies, and tactical patterns. 3 days after the attack, President Garcia addressed the United Nations. The speech was broadcast globally and through captured, Imperial communication devices transmitted to the alien fleet as well. "Today we speak with one voice," Garcia declared firmly. "Earth does not recognize the authority of the so-called Galactic Empire. We did not invite you here. We do not accept your terms. You are not welcome in our solar system." The chamber erupted in applause and shouts of approval. For perhaps the first time in human history, the peoples of Earth stood completely united. "You have 24 hours to withdraw your forces," Garcia continued. "After that time we will consider any Imperial presence in our space an act of war, and we will respond accordingly." Aboard the Imperial flagship, Lord Zelthos watched the transmission with growing rage. "They dare to threaten us? After we showed such restraint?" His military commander appeared concerned. "The humans have unexpected capabilities. We should request reinforcements before proceeding." "Nonsense," Zelthos snapped. "No primitive world has ever successfully resisted the Empire. Prepare a full invasion force. We will make an example of Earth that the galaxy will remember for millennia." As Imperial ships positioned for attack, Earth's defenses readied themselves. The first prototype space fighters launched from hidden facilities around the globe. Underground shelters activated. Military units moved into predetermined positions. In the ruins of New Madrid, rescue workers continued pulling survivors from collapsed buildings. Among them, a young girl asked a paramedic, "Are the aliens going to win?" The woman smiled gently as she bandaged the child's arm. "No, honey. Humans don't give up that easily." Above them, the sky darkened as hundreds of Imperial warships moved into attack formation. The real war for Earth was about to begin. The Imperial invasion began with a massive electromagnetic pulse designed to disable Earth's electronics. But humanity had prepared for this tactic. Hardened systems remained operational, and within moments, Earth's defense grid activated. "All stations report ready," Admiral Carter confirmed as he surveyed the global command center buried deep beneath the Alps. Around him, military leaders from every major nation coordinated the planet's response. "They think they're fighting individual countries. Let's show them what happens when they face a united Earth. The sky burned with energy discharges as Imperial dropships attempted to land troops in major cities. They encountered unexpected resistance as concealed defense turrets targeted their approaches. For every alien craft that landed, 3 more were damaged or destroyed. Captain Susan Allen led the first space-based counterattack. Her squadron of 12 fighters had been hidden on the far side of the moon, invisible to Imperial sensors. Remember, hit and run only, she instructed her pilots. Their capital ships outgun us but were faster and more maneuverable. Target their sensor arrays and weapon ports. The Earth fighters streaked toward the massive Imperial flagship, appearing seemingly from nowhere. The alien vessels, arranged in traditional formation, were unprepared for an attack from behind. How did they get ships in orbit? Demanded the Imperial commander. Our blockade is complete. Susan's fighter screamed past the flagship's main bridge, launching precision strikes against its command towers. Aim for the communication arrays, she ordered. Let's cut off their heads from their bodies. Around the world, Imperial ground forces discovered that conquering Earth would be nothing like their previous campaigns. They were accustomed to conventional resistance, armies meeting in open battle. Instead, they faced guerrilla tactics that left them confused and disoriented. In Chicago, Imperial troops secured the downtown area, only to find themselves under attack from hidden positions in the surrounding buildings. In Beijing, they controlled major government facilities, but couldn't maintain supply lines through the constantly shifting battlefield. In Lagos, their heavy weapons bogged down in deliberately flooded streets. They don't understand our history, Major Boyd explained to his international strike team. Every tactic they're using was developed for fighting other Imperial species, but humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've mastered ways to defeat technologically superior forces. The aliens expected humans to surrender quickly once their military bases were destroyed. They didn't realize that Earth's real defensive capability had been dispersed and hidden months ago. Dr. Andrew Wilson monitored his computer screen as the viral code infiltrated Imperial navigation systems. They network everything, he explained to his team. Once we're inside one system, we can spread to their entire fleet. The virus didn't attempt to control Imperial ships. That would be detected and blocked. Instead, it subtly altered sensor readings, making Earth's forces appear to be in different locations than they actually were. The space battle intensified as Susan's squadron struck the Imperial flagship's main engines. Escape pods launched from the crippled vessel as secondary explosions rippled along its hull. Fall back, Susan commanded, as massive Imperial cruisers moved to intercept. Her fighters scattered, using Earth's atmosphere to mask their retreat. Behind them, the flagship listed helplessly, its gravitational systems failing. Lord Zelthos watched in disbelief from an emergency command center. This is impossible. They are primitives. Respectfully, my lord, his military advisor countered. We severely underestimated them. They have adapted our own technology against us with remarkable speed, and they fight differently, unpredictably. In orbit, 3 more Imperial ships suffered critical damage as Earth's hidden defense satellites revealed themselves, launching concentrated ion bursts at vulnerable points identified by Officer Johnson's research. After 18 hours of continuous fighting, the Imperial forces withdrew to regroup. What they had planned as a decisive conquest had become a humiliating setback. In the Global Command Center, Admiral Carter allowed himself a small smile. Phase 1 complete, he announced. They expected an easy victory and instead suffered significant losses. But this is just the beginning. Earth had won its first major battle against the Empire. For the first time in centuries, the seemingly invincible Imperial forces tasted defeat, and it was bitter indeed. News of Earth's resistance spread quickly through the Empire's subjugated worlds. Imperial communication networks designed to broadcast humanity's swift defeat instead carried whispers of Imperial ships burning in Earth's orbit. Hope, long suppressed under Imperial rule, began to flicker across the galaxy. Commander Nicole Brown never expected to find herself working with aliens, yet here she was, in a secret facility beneath the Atacama Desert, coordinating with representatives from 7 different species. The Procyon resistance can disrupt Imperial supply lines in these sectors, said Krell, a furred being with 6 limbs pointing to star charts. But we need Earth's virus technology to disable their tracking systems. And my people can provide intelligence from within Imperial facilities, added Mira, whose translucent skin glowed softly in the dim light. Many of us serve as maintenance workers on their capital ships. Nicole nodded. Earth will provide the tools and coordination. You bring local knowledge and personnel. She looked around at the diverse faces. Together, we can do what none of us could manage alone. The Imperial High Command faced an unprecedented crisis. Reports flooded in from across their territory. Sabotaged facilities, disabled patrols, and open rebellion on worlds thought thoroughly pacified. The human contagion spreads, the Grand Admiral reported to the Emperor. 3 resource worlds have ceased shipments. Communications are disrupted in 4 sectors, and our forces at Earth remain stalled. The Emperor's face darkened. This cannot stand. Redirect the 7th and 9th fleets to Earth. Crush this resistance completely no matter the cost. My Emperor, this will leave other regions vulnerable. Do it. I want Earth reduced to ash. Make them an example to any who would defy us. On Earth, preparations continued. Engineer Jason Kim studied the captured Imperial weapon, carefully disassembling its components. Their technology relies on overwhelming force, he explained to his team. But it's predictable. They haven't faced a serious challenge in centuries, so they've stopped innovating. Jason held up a modified device. This disruptor targets the specific frequency their shields operate on. Their armor is designed to disperse energy weapons, but becomes brittle when hit with these sonic pulses. Similar breakthroughs occurred around the world as humans rapidly adapted to counter Imperial technology. The aliens had expected a primitive species struggling with basic spaceflight. Instead, they found an innovative civilization that absorbed and improved upon everything they encountered. In orbit, Captain Susan Allen's fighters had become the terror of Imperial forces. Using hit-and-run tactics, they struck without warning, before disappearing into the debris fields created by earlier battles. They're thinking in 3 dimensions, Susan told her pilots. We need to think in 4. Use time as a weapon. Strike, retreat, reposition, strike again before they can adapt. The Empire had never faced this style of warfare. Their doctrine relied on overwhelming force applied directly. Earth forces refused to engage on those terms, instead using asymmetric tactics that left Imperial commanders frustrated and confused. Meanwhile, freedom fighters on distant worlds began targeting Imperial fuel processing stations. As officer, Johnson had discovered the Empire's technology depended entirely on Nevidium. Without it, their ships became useless hunks of metal. Earth showed us it's possible to fight back, said the resistance leader on Proxima Centauri's colony world. If humans can stand against the Empire, so can we. Imperial propaganda tried desperately to counteract Earth's growing influence. These primitives are temporary annoyances, the official broadcasts claimed. The Empire is eternal. But the images of burning Imperial ships told a different story. In the Imperial War Council, division grew. We should negotiate, suggested one admiral. The resources required to subjugate Earth could be better used elsewhere. Weakness, shouted another. One successful resistance will spawn 100 more. Lord Zelthos, demoted after his failure at Earth, watched silently. The empire that had seemed invincible now appeared increasingly fragile. At Earth's Global Command Center, Admiral Carter studied reports from across the galaxy. The Empire is committing massive forces to crush us, he announced to the assembled leaders. They're becoming desperate. President Garcia nodded grimly. Then we need to be ready for their all-out assault, and we need to strike back where they least expect it. The greatest battle still lay ahead. But Earth was no longer fighting, alone. The massive Imperial fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system, nearly 3 times larger than the initial invasion force. Hundreds of warships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight as they prepared to crush Earth once and for all. Major Ryan Phillips stood on the bridge of Earth's first true battleship, the Defiance. Built in secret using adapted Imperial technology, it represented humanity's rapid evolution from a planetary to a spacefaring military power. "All ships report ready, Major," his executive officer announced. "Task forces are in position." Ryan nodded, studying the tactical display. Around him, crew members from a dozen nations worked with focused intensity. "The Empire expects us to defend Earth directly. They'll be looking for our forces near the homeworld." Instead, Earth's newly built fleet waited in the shadow of Jupiter, hidden from Imperial sensors by the gas giant's electromagnetic field. For 3 months, humans had prepared for this moment, gathering intelligence and refining their strategy. "Begin Operation Sunrise," Ryan ordered. Across the solar system, Earth vessels emerged from hiding places in asteroid belts, behind moons, and within the rings of Saturn. Rather than defending Earth, they launched a coordinated attack against the Empire's fuel processing ships at the rear of the formation. "They're targeting our supply vessels," the Imperial commander shouted as alarms blared across his bridge. The Empire had positioned these critical ships behind their main battle line, expecting Earth forces to be too busy defending their planet to attempt an offensive operation. Dr. Laura Martinez watched from her laboratory as telemetry data flowed in. After months of research, she had discovered the precise resonance frequency that could disrupt Imperial shield technology. "Activate the transmitters," she instructed her team. "All frequencies as calculated." Around the solar system, hidden satellites began broadcasting energy waves that interacted with Imperial shield generators. The effect wasn't immediate or obvious. That would have been detected and countered. Instead, microscopic flaws began forming in the shield matrices, weakening them systematically. The Imperial fleet commander detected the Earth ships but remained confident. "Engage with primary weapons. Their primitive vessels cannot withstand our firepower." Imperial energy weapons lashed out, but found their effectiveness dramatically reduced. Where they should have torn through Earth vessels, they instead caused minimal damage. "What's happening?" the commander demanded. "Why aren't they being destroyed?" What he couldn't know was that Dr. Martinez's shield disruption was only part of Earth's strategy. The hulls of human ships had been treated with a compound developed by reverse engineering Imperial armor, specifically designed to disperse energy weapons. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Paul Anderson led a small infiltration team in what might have been a suicide mission. Their stealth craft, barely larger than a shuttle, slipped through the chaos of battle toward the Imperial command ship. "Docking clamps engaged," Paul reported quietly as their vessel attached to the massive ship's maintenance hatch. "Beginning infiltration." Using access codes provided by alien resistance fighters, the team entered the Imperial vessel. Their mission, not destruction, but information. The command ship's central computer contained the locations of every Imperial fuel depot in the galaxy. The space battle intensified as Earth ships executed complex maneuvers that confused Imperial targeting systems. The Empire had developed its tactics for fighting large conventional forces, not the guerrilla warfare humans had perfected. "They're not fighting according to any known doctrine," the Imperial tactical officer complained. "Their movements make no strategic sense." But they did make sense to humans who had studied Imperial tactics and deliberately designed counters to them. Each Earth vessel attacked in unpredictable patterns, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. Back on the Defiance, Major Phillips watched as Imperial supply ships exploded one after another. Without fuel processors, the Imperial fleet would be stranded in the solar system, unable to return home. "Sir?" his communications officer called out. "Lieutenant Anderson reports mission successful. Data secured." Ryan allowed himself a small smile. "Transmit to all Earth forces. Execute final phase." The remaining Earth vessels broke off their attacks and scattered, drawing Imperial pursuers in different directions. Confused and increasingly desperate, the Imperial fleet fragmented, abandoning their perfect formation. When the coordinated counterattack came, it struck with devastating precision. Earth forces converged from all directions, targeting the now isolated Imperial ships with weapons specifically designed to penetrate their weakened shields. Within hours, the mighty Imperial fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, was in full retreat, leaving behind disabled vessels and debris that would orbit the sun for centuries as monuments to humanity's defiance. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never witnessed such a scene. For millennia, this chamber had hosted the Empire's declarations of conquest and dominion. Today it fell silent as a human stood at the central podium. Ambassador Michelle Cooper surveyed the vast chamber with steady eyes. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched from tiered seating that rose like a mountain around her. Some showed open hostility, others curiosity, and many, particularly those from recently liberated worlds, displayed barely contained hope. "I speak today not just for Earth but for all worlds that value freedom," Michelle began, her voice carrying clearly through the massive space. The Empire believed it could conquer us as it had conquered so many before. It was mistaken. 3. Months had passed since the decisive battle in Earth's solar system. The Imperial retreat had become a rout as rebellions spread across a dozen star systems. Ships that had fled Earth found their home bases under attack by local resistance fighters, using Earth-supplied weapons and tactics. "We do not seek the Empire's destruction," Michelle continued. "We seek a new order based on cooperation rather than subjugation. The stars are vast enough for all of us to exist in peace." Behind her stood Captain Alan Rodriguez, commander of Earth's new diplomatic vessel. His presence symbolized humanity's rapid advancement. In just 1 year, they had progressed from a planetary civilization to an interstellar power. The Imperial Regent rose from his ornate throne. "Your species has caused untold damage to galactic stability. Billions now suffer as trade routes collapse and order disintegrates." Michelle nodded calmly. "Order maintained by fear is inherently unstable. What we offer instead is genuine alliance. Worlds working together because they choose to, not because they are forced." From the public galleries, representatives of formerly subjugated species watched with growing excitement. The Lissari, the Procyon, the Centauri colonists, all had sent delegations to witness this historic moment. Earth demands the immediate recognition of its sovereignty and that of any world that chooses independence, Michelle stated firmly. Imperial forces will withdraw from these systems within 30 standard days. In return, we will cease military operations against Imperial targets. The Regent's face darkened. "You make demands as if you had conquered us. One victory does not—" 37 victories, Michelle corrected, across 24 star systems. "Your fuel refineries in the Andromeda sector were disabled yesterday. Your shipyards at Proxima Centauri are now controlled by local forces. The Empire is not defeated, but it can no longer win." Murmurs spread through the chamber as this news reached many Imperial officials for the first time. Their government had hidden the extent of their losses. "Furthermore," Michelle continued, "Earth will establish embassies on all worlds that wish them, offering technology and defensive capabilities to prevent future Imperial aggression." Captain Rodriguez stepped forward, presenting a data crystal to the Council Secretary. "This contains specifications for faster-than-light communication systems that don't rely on Imperial control networks. We offer this freely to all species." The gesture caused visible shock. The Empire had maintained control partly by restricting communication between worlds. Earth was systematically dismantling the foundations of Imperial power. "You cannot simply rewrite the order of the galaxy," the Regent protested, but his voice lacked conviction. Michelle smiled slightly. "We already have. The question now is whether the Empire will adapt to this new reality, or continue a war it cannot win." Hours of debate followed, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. The Empire, faced with collapsing authority and dwindling resources, accepted Earth's terms. For the first time in 1,000 years, independent worlds would determine their own futures. 2 weeks later, Alan Rodriguez oversaw the establishment of Earth's first permanent embassy on Centauri Prime. As the Earth flag was raised, cheering crowds filled the streets. "They see us as liberators," noted his aide. Alan shook his head. We must be careful with that view. We didn't come to rule them, just to ensure no one else does either. Across the galaxy, Imperial propaganda stations fell silent, replaced by local broadcasts. Ships bearing Earth's new interstellar insignia arrived at formerly oppressed worlds, bringing medical supplies, food, and defensive technology. On distant planets, children looked up at the stars with new hope. The species that had said, "You are not welcome here," had changed the galaxy forever.